Everybody, welcome back to another episode of FSi DFS Fantasy Baseball Picks. I'm host Meg Brewer, 31. Hope you had a great weekend. FSi crew had a great day in baseball yesterday. Very Once we saw that Hunter Brown was going to pitch for Houston, we jumped on Washington. Shout out to Jersey Kozak on FanDuel, Discord member, had a takedown there. It's pretty cool. So I want to keep the winning going today. So nice 7-game slate tonight. If you play Solaire or you play season long, just a public service announcement that there's a random day game today, the Yankees and the A's in Yankee Stadium. It starts at 105. So make sure you lock everything before then. Small 3-game turbo slate at 640. Phillies, Reds, Ranger Suarez, Hunter Green. I think you go with either pitcher there, but probably like the Phillies bats. Milwaukee and Pittsburgh, Joe Ross and Jarrett Jones. A lot of people like Jarrett Jones, but it looks like he's being limited to 4 or 5 innings. Really going to try to save him up until it gets the pot to more competitive. So don't be surprised if he's throwing a masterpiece of a game or even a no hitter and he gets pulled after 4 or 5. So that could be tilting. And then you have Detroit and Tampa Bay, and Tampa Bay, besides against Reed Detmer, who just didn't have it that day, it's been abysmal against left-handed pitching. Cortez had a masterful game a couple days ago against them. So school ball looks to set up really well against them there. So pitching, I'd probably go Screwball, Suarez, or Hunter Green, and then I would stack whatever pitcher you don't take on Suarez and Green, the team against them in the Great American Small Park. 70 degrees there, so it should be good hitting weather, and then probably fill in with like Milwaukee bats. They've been cheap and pretty effective recently. So get a few extra minutes tonight for tonight's slate at 7:20. So if you can get your NBA or NHL playoff lineups in first, and then have 20 more minutes to tinker with the MLB lineup. So no weather concerns, which is outstanding. So we'll start with the Marlins and the Braves. We have Ryan Weathers and Bryce Elders. I know it looked like Lopez was pitching, but they did call Elders up from AAA, and he's just been solid down there. He's got an ERA around 3, and he's stretched out, so should be able to go pretty good. So Weathers, I'm not interested in. I think the Braves are right-handed hitting in the power, and 64 degrees, wind blowing out slightly there. I think the Braves will have a good offensive night. They have a 5.72 run total also, so no thank you to Weathers. And Elder, um, Marlins haven't been great. I mean, Jesus Sanchez has hit a couple bombs recently, but the rest of this lineup isn't exactly super scary. So I think Elders is definitely in play here in a night where pitching is kind of all the guys you paid up for all have question marks. So I think I really like Elders here. I think he's a solid choice, and might even consider him in cash games. We'll get to that when we get to lineup breakdowns. As for bats, Marlins, I think would just be a leverage play here because I think Elder might pick up some ownership. And Braves love the righties here. Acuna, Arcia, Riley, Ozuna, especially. Even Duvall's cheaper. DRNO had a weekend. Wow. Um, 3 home runs, including, I think, a grand slam on Friday. I think he had another home run on Saturday. He was so hot they had to sit him Sunday, which I don't understand, but he should be back in the lineup tonight. So could do a nice like a wraparound there too with DRNO at 42 and then Fletcher at 23. He's a good contact hitter and can at least get on base, and Acuna, Arcia, Riley, or even skip over like Acuna if you don't want to pay up that much. And he really isn't paying off point per dollar too much this year. And then get Ozuna in there, however you want to, whatever direction you want to go. But there's a lot of options for that. Toronto Blue Jays and Kansas City Royals. You have 2 decent pitchers here. You have Kikuchi and Brady Singer, but you have 2 offenses that also can really rise to the occasion. So Kikuchi here has thrown some masterful games. The Kansas City has hit well recently also. So, but you just have to decide. 82 is a pretty good price for him there, and I think he could, if he does well, could be one of the top pitchers on the slate. Singer, um, again, Toronto doesn't really scare me that much. They really don't have many lefties, although I always say that they're kind of a reverse splits team where the righties do hit righties pretty well here. So again, I think both are in play, but it is 70 degrees and the wind's blowing out like 20 miles per hour. So that does actually elevate hitting a little bit here. The totals don't really reflect that. It's only 4 or 5 on each side, and Toronto's a 118 favorite. So it's not like they're like an overwhelming favorite here. So I think both of the bats are in play, and I think they make definitely interesting GPP targets again against some decent pitching here. So we'll just have to. Does anybody really stick out in the lineup? Not really. Like, I mean, what's so hard to get in at 6'2"? I mean, I get it. He hits for power. He steals bases. He's been really good, and he's up against a lefty. But I mean, Garcia Perez had a home run the other day. Velasquez should be back in the lineup. Even Renfro at 3-2. Like, I think um there's some other pieces that can balance it out in the 4K range, and like if they're run from there at 3-2 can make it work if you're going to 5 man stack and still be able to get decent pitching. If I am going that way, then I in a GPP I'd probably throw Singer in as the pitcher, just going with game theory. So if Kansas City stack is going off, then they're probably scoring enough runs that Singer is going to hopefully be doing well and get the win. So some thoughts on that. White Sox in Minnesota, 65 degrees, wind blowing out there, 13 miles per hour. Jonathan Cannon, who had a pretty good start to his career up in the major leagues, but still is a young pitcher. The Twins are high in strikeouts. They're number 4 overall at 26.5%. So there are definitely some Ks in the lineup. So I think he's definitely in consideration here in the cheap range. And Paddock has had a horrible season start out. He's got like a 6 ERA, but the White Sox are really so watered down here with this lineup currently that he might be okay here. And there are some strikeouts in the lineup. They are number 10 at 24.3% as a team. So I think in a GPP, I might consider Paddock, just how bad the White Sox have been. And I think the Twins have a 4.88 run total against Cannon. So if he gets the run support and everything, he doesn't have to. And the Twins do have one of the best bullpens, so he's probably not going to has he doesn't have to go deep into the game. So on FanDuel, maybe I might not take him because I don't know if he stays long enough to get the quality start. But I think that is definitely on DK if we're trying to pay up for a San Diego stack, for Atlanta stack, or some of these higher price stacks, then I think he's definitely going to be someone that I'm going to consider, even though he's off to a bad start. I think this is a great get right spot for him. And Cannon on the other side, like I said, it makes sense. So I think you can go both sides of this game with pitcher. I think you can stack both sides of this game with hitters, and especially the White Sox are super cheap. They can also make some nice stacks work for you. Diamondbacks in St. Louis, and again, another decent day, 67 degrees there when blowing out 11 miles per hour. So that definitely helps hitting in this ballpark. Fadat and Lynn, I don't know, like Fadat like started game run of the World Series. I don't know what happened. I like everybody watched all the film on him in the offseason, all of a sudden realized, what to do, or if he's just not, if there's like a minor injury he's fighting through, or what's going on. Sophomore slump, I don't know, but he's just not what he was last year. He wasn't like great last year. It's not getting strikeouts. And even though St. Louis has been horrible, I really like St. Louis bats here. Even though the game is like dead even and it's 4.25 total on both, and it's a negative 108 for both of them. I really think that I like some St. Louis bats here. I'm not going to be playing Fadat. Lance Lynn on the other side, he's been good, but there's just so much left-handed power here, and Carroll and Jock Peterson, and maybe Suarez gets the other day off, and Jace Peterson gets in there, and Jake McCarthy can hit, and Marte is a switch hitter. So I don't know. I don't think I'm gonna be playing much Lance Lynn. Like I said, all the pitchers that you're gonna pay up for in the 8K range and like into the 9K range with Singer, all are have matchups that are just I don't like here. So it might be a good day to pay up for bats and to just try to take somebody solid like Elder in the mid range for pitching, and and hope that all these guys that are higher, like everything that we talk about being concerned comes true. And then, we're absolutely fine. We can make up the points with the bats in great situations and good warmer conditions. I mean, we're not talking like 80s, but we're talking like warmer conditions than we've had early on in the month, where it's like 40s and 50s sometimes in these with no wind or wind blowing in or rainy conditions. So St. Louis love the lefties here. Donovan, Nootbaar, Contreras, even righty, I'm fine with. Not hitting as well as his counterpart in Milwaukee, the other Contreras, but I think he's still, solid enough. It's just a matter of time for Arenado and Goldsmith hopefully get it going. But Alex Burleson is like free. I mean, you could put him at first base over Goldsmith, and he's only 2.2K. So you're saving 2.3K there. That's huge. Gorman hitting at the bottom of the lineup too. I don't know much about Mike Ciani, but he's could be hitting at the bottom of the lineup as another outfielder, and he's just 2K also. Well, it gets you 5 or 6 points, but still at 2K, if that happens, then it opens up and you get the other bat or pitcher that you want, then I mean that's definitely a win there. So um like the left-handed Arizona bats, like the left-handed St. Louis bats, not definitely not playing for that. And Lynn, I'm iffy on. Coors Field, San Diego Padres have a 4-game series against the Rockies. Dylan Cease and Austin Gomber. Cease was, I think he was like over 10K last time out. So a nice discount here going to Coors against the Rockies team that even in Coors, like they've been better offensively, but they're just not like a team that like strikes fear. And so I think Cease, and the Colorado has actually risen to number 3 with 26.6 strikeout rate. So Cease, I think, is definitely in play here. I don't know if playing cash, but definitely a solid GPP play. Um, I kind of really like him here. Gomber, I'm not going to play. So the Padres, I think you can play anybody in this lineup, depending on who goes out there. But I think definitely 1 through 6 are strong, and it's like having a catcher at 3 9s is a decent option, and Profile like hitting kind of should be like third there at 3 9 also offsets. Like Tatis is the most expensive one here at 6K. Everybody else is like in the 5K range or below, so they're not priced up for going to course. It's probably because they've been pedestrian this season. Again, they're like you have all these like sleeping giant teams that one day could go out there and put up a crooked number and score like and put up football scores, but most days they like disappoint. And but I think it's a great get right spot. I love the righties against Gomber. I like the hitting conditions here. 7 degrees out there, wind's blowing across the field. So if that changes and starts blowing out a little bit, I mean that's definitely going to help. Rockies, I think I really like Cease, so I think the Rockies and have the GPP stack. Might only more be like a leverage stack. I'll like probably play them in at least one contest just in case Cease has a bad day and they go out and are able to put up some runs. But I don't think it's as likely as San Diego putting up a huge number and Cease having a good day. Baltimore and the Angels. Baltimore goes out. Well, it's actually they're already out in Kansas City, so they move a little bit further out west to Los Angeles here. Albert Suarez, he's only 4K, and he had a decent outing. His first game was who was it against? Was it Minnesota? Yeah. So I mean, Minnesota's a high strikeout team, and he only could get 4 strikeouts against them in 5 innings, so he's not getting many swinging strikes. So the Angels are not a great team, but I've been using a lot recently. I think I'm settling in if the teams play on the same day and the same time periods. Like my original stack that I played every single day was Cleveland and Angels, and just the way Cleveland has been and the Angels have been this year, they fit together. Shortstop's the only thing I really need to punch, but between Ren Gifo and the guy that starts with R that hits at the bottom of the Cleveland lineup as like kind of a one-off like wraparound makes it work, but every other position just falls into sync really nicely. So I might start trying to play those. I can't play it today because Cleveland's not on the slate, because I played it yesterday. I'm going to go forward just trying to play those two teams every single day. They usually get me a decent pitching with their salaries, and I can get Trout and Ward in, so it works. And J Ram. So the other pieces are usually cheap enough. So I'll keep you posted on that. But again, they're good, but they're not great. Like Trout is healthy, definitely. He's hitting home runs. He's running. Ward is good. Sano every so often, but they lost Rendon at the top of the lineup, which I don't understand. He's just not a leadoff hitter. Like having Hicks there might be an upgrade, because Hicks has some speed and power, can hit from either side of the plate. So and he's only 3-2, so I kind of like that. But anyways, Suarez is a pitcher. I think at 4K is definitely in play here. It doesn't have to do much to pay off his tag, and he's not an opener. He's actually going to go pretty far. Could the Angels beat up on him a little bit? Yes, potentially. Could he go out there and get no strikeouts? But does he need to do a lot at 4K? No. So I think you can definitely play him cash. Reed Detmers, one of my favorite pitchers this season. Again, let us down against Tampa Bay last time out, and they've been great against, been horrible against lefties, so it should have been a smash spot. But overall, he's been okay. Baltimore is a very good lineup. So again, like I said, every pitcher you might want to pay up for, and I have him listed as a top pitcher, but there's always concerns. But the only thing that really I feel good about against Baltimore, and Baltimore has become one of my favorite teams besides the Yankees, is that he's been almost a reverse splits pitcher, and almost the way his pitches are and the way he throws them has been solid against righties. And if Baltimore, they're the lineup that they look like is they're only going to have one lefty in Gunnar Henderson. And Addie's probably going to hit from the right-handed side of the plate. Mountcastle's a righty, Santana's a righty, Westberg's a righty, Krause will probably sit, Hayes will probably start, Urias, McCain, a catcher, and Mateo. If they go that far like righties, then first of all, if it if it isn't true and he comes back and is a normal splits pitcher, then there's a really cheap stack that you can stack Baltimore so many ways, because if you leave out the two 5K guys, you have a lot of 2K people at the bottom who have been consistently hitting, and Westberg's been super hot too, and he's only at 4.3. So there are some definitely ways you could stack Baltimore there against Detmers, but he might be solid. So I think I like both. I'll definitely have a Baltimore stack, and then I'll definitely have like an Angels stack with Detmer. So it's the same situation as we saw with the White Sox and Minnesota. I think if you're doing 20 entry maxes here, that you can play a Baltimore line with Suarez, play an Angels line with Detmer, and just like kind of with if the stack's going off, then the pitcher hopefully will get the win and everything will fall into sync, and it'll help you with that. So final game of the slate is a really low scoring game, only 7.5 total, 3.6 for the Mets and 3.9 for San Francisco, which you would think it was a pitching duel, but it's not really. Jose Quintana, he's got zero strikeout upside. And San Francisco is kind of neutral with strikeouts. So it's not like they're going to manufacture any for him, but he's been okay. And then Keaton Wynn on the other side, the Mets don't strike out much. They're only 19.5%. They are fourth in baseball for that. So, and that's another reason that I don't like Lynn for St. Louis. Is Arizona is down to 17.1% K rate, which is the lowest in baseball, significantly. So them in Houston are like 2 points below everybody else. So the pitchers I think are in play if you're trying to save money. I think I like Win just being at home, and it is the pitcher's park. And I think there's even though the Mets don't strike out as much, I think there are some strikeouts down towards the bottom of the lineup. I mean, you do have some left-handed power with DJ Stewart and Beatty and like Lindor, but he still hasn't had the start to the season. Nemo also, but I think I can play Win with confidence in cash games. The Mets, I think, would just be leveraged. I think Win is going to be popular in his price point. If people are trying to pay up, I think they might stay in the mid range. Like I was considering doing cash to try to get the San Diego stacks or the Atlanta stacks in there. And Quintana again, I think would just be a cheap option potentially, but probably 5% or less in GPPs. San Francisco bats, like they're always dangerous here. Like Slater's been ice cold. Flores will come out there, but he could get replaced, easily once if a righty comes into the game with Wade. Soler and Chapman, I think, are your most solid two in Conforto. Murphy, a catcher, if he starts, the catcher should stay there because both the catchers are right-handed. Estrada's dipped down to lineup. Like he was like a budding star last year, so maybe he'll come around. If Fitzgerald gets the start, I mean, he might get replaced in outfield by Yaz. I think Ahmed is okay. He's not going to get replaced, but like, there's really no speed or power there. It's just a contact hitter that can get on base every so often. Um, so I can't full stack the Giants here by any means. Maybe, like I said, just a couple cheap pieces with Soler or not. I mean, they're not that they're in the 4K range, so they're moderate to cheap. Soler and Chapman, but I don't think I'm going to go like full giant stack or anything here, even against Quintana. So, uh, let's see what we have for builds. So I'm going Elder and Win. Again, if you want to go up and do Detmer, Kikuchi, or Cease or Singer, that's fine. I think with all the things that potentially could go wrong with them at the price point, Elder, I think to me, in my opinion, has the best matchup against the Marlins, and I think can get the best point per dollar at 7.5K and be where I need to be for that. So now I'm going to stack San Diego. So Machado, Kim, Tatis, and Profar. I'll let you decide if you want to take Xander or the catcher there. And I'm going to fill in with Minnesota or the White Sox. Like I said, there's like a lot of cheap pieces, or there's a lot of cheap one-offs. You could go like Sheets and then Larnish, I think, is batting usually third at 26 against has the splits advantage against the actually like Julian. I mean, a Minnesota stack might fit nice here if you go with the catcher because then you could get Krill off and then maybe upgrade from Win. That might give you a little bit more salary. So there's some ways to go there, but it's gonna be Padres in Minnesota or Padres or White Sox in that one. And then for GPP, give me Paddock and Cease. I know people won't want to play Cease in course, but I think it's the right decision. And Paddock, if looking against this White Sox team, I think it's a good right spot. If you don't like that, there's other options that you can go to. But I'm going St. Louis, so give me Contreras, Donovan, and Nootbaar, and then give me right-handed Atlanta. The stack works really nice together with the bats. The pitchers I'm okay with. I feel it's pretty solid for a GPP. But again, I'll have some Baltimore stacks. I'll have some Angels stacks. I'll play with some other teams out there too. I like the slate. I'll probably have 10 to 20 lineups here, but primarily for cash, I'm going to stick with the Padres and Minnesota or the White Sox with those mid-range pitchers. And then I really like that GPP build. So if you have any questions, put them in the chat below. Hit me up at MegaRuler31 on Twitter/X. If you want more information on FSi DFS, you can get into our price page. We'll go into the description of the video and it takes you right there. And it's $6 a day to play all sports, which is really cheap. And I think it's like $3 a day for Major League Baseball, and the week everything's like relatively cheaper pricing. You'd be probably impressed when you see it. So just come check it out. We've had some really good results so far this season, and we're still covering like playoff things. If you're trying to get those achievements for NBA or NHL, we're still putting out lineups for those each day. So we got that going also. Plus Charlie's got soccer going, and when the weekends pick up, we have NASCAR and PGA going too. So uh again, if these videos help you, help us back, like the video, subscribe to our channel if you haven't already, and share with friends. So hope your week starts out great and hope it's a very profitable one. So good luck in your contest. I know how to get a hold of me if you have any questions. I'll see you next time.